our last speaker tonight is a seasoned veteran of the QASIG, and it's going to be talking about testing versus acceptance criteria checking. And so I will introduce Srilu Pinjala.
Yes. Okay, my slides are still loading. I am super sorry. So it's still loading and understanding what the heck it is. Okay, you can understand. Today's topic, actually I don't have anything, quite honestly, to show like, hey, this is the magic solution kind of a thing, but I'm actually bringing a dilemma I had for like years and years, probably all through my career, and see if that, if any of you felt the same way, and if you have a better solution for what I'm facing. Ready? Okay, how does this, I can't see my notes.
It's fine. Oh. You got to display the presentation mode.
Okay, so how do I do that?
Yeah. You got slideshow.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this dilemma I've been having, but I couldn't put it into like proper words, and I like to make things funny, and I couldn't make it funny or serious, and I couldn't make up my mind, so I finally came up with just 15 slides last night. So the inspiration for this talk is last time I was at QASIG, I met with Randy King, and he expressed, he was trying to explain that, you know how we're trying to say like software engineering, and software development is far, far away from engineering. It's not the same thing. And I agree with him. I agree, I'll explain more. So, I will start off with the backstory. A few months ago, there was a heated debate on LinkedIn. Some new test lead person, he put in a comment in there, a bunch of things about like test case is the heart of testing, acceptance criteria is all that the tester needs for testing, testing outside of the acceptance criteria is a waste of time, out of scope, blah, 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 and so on and so on. So a few wise men, like Michael Bolton, Matt Hauser, Ryan Gaudreau, and Matt Griscom, they replied in that chain, and they tried to explain, that's kind of a primitive thinking, and testing is not the same as checking. I mean, checking is part of testing, but just checking stuff does not mean you have tested it completely. So that's the backstory. That's also one more inspiration of mine, like because I've seen like industry giants who agree that just checking acceptance criteria is not enough testing. You can totally meet the acceptance criteria, but your product might totally suck also, right? So this is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I'm not trying to provide a solution, I'm asking for advice. So in the beginning, we had nothing, and then we built our huts, and then we ended up building the pyramids and the Colosseum, and our current day Burj Khalifa. So I mean, like, to build all of this, you need resources, manpower, money, lots and lots of material and everything. And at the same time, the people who are investing in it want to make sure, like, are these people utilizing our resources correctly? So they always needed some person to make sure, like, everything that was estimated was being utilized correctly. And if it was off, why was it off? Was it like an honest mistake? Are they fudging or cheating? Things like that. So this has always been a need in building engineering stuff. See, the minions make mistakes. So in the history of software, we adopted a lot of things the way engineering does. And I think checking the requirements also we adopted. And like if you remember, like when we went to school, when we were in school, we also had like math tests where they would be like, in so much area you are provided with so many bricks, and like how big of a house can you build, and how much would that cost? You had tests like that, and that's what I think those testers did. Calculating, okay, this is how much it would cost, and those people took this kind of money. Oh, so yeah, it is okay. It's kind of like that guy who said Eureka. He was also trying to measure, like, are they building it the right way, and are they really giving us the value for our money, right? Archimedes, right?
Yeah.
Archimedes. So that I think we adopted. So, sorry, I'm jumping in. So testing the requirements, checking to make sure the requirements have been met, because it is important. It is definitely very, very important. But that's not in software, especially with the agility and all the jazz. We are starting with abstract requirements. And okay, so yes, that's how the acceptance criteria looks like. And yeah, so and halfway through the sprint, it changes. And again, she will do all of these things. And then by the end of the sprint or the project, a bunch of more things will change. So how are we expected to test an abstract like idea before we see the product? That's the disconnect I am seeing every freaking day. Especially, I mean, like I've worked with like really experienced people, and then I tell them I'm not even going to estimate anything. Just give me the product, I'll look at it, and then I'll fix the requirements later. They're like, yeah, that makes sense. But when you're working with newbies, nothing wrong with them. They're technically very advanced, but they don't understand the concept. They just assume that the testers have nothing to do when we are developing. So this is what they should be doing. They should be estimating tests and test cases and designs and everything. If you're revamping a website or something, totally, I can do that. But if it's a brand new product, I don't know where to start. So, and one more issue I face constantly is checking the requirement. Like I said, you can meet the requirement to the T, and the application will still. So, I mean, like when you're checking the requirement, you're going in with tunnel vision, like, does this check, does this check, does this check? And there are bugs crawling all over the place, and you're like, not my responsibility. I want to make sure this is done, the sprint is closed, so that my developers are not on my back. So, oh shoot, can you turn off my phone? I'm so sorry.
It was perfect. I'm 10, it's locked, so the front of it. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It fit because it looked like it was easy.
I am sorry.
That requirement was tested, by the way.
So, sometimes I don't understand the requirement, and I ask my developers, like, does this make sense to you? And this is the feedback I get most of the time. It's perfect for them, and it's not their fault. If I made something, if I have to review it 10 different times, I'll be like, no, I And since we have like abstract like requirements, the developer is like, no, it met the requirements. One of those things is spinning, so it met the requirement. Maybe they were looking for a cool new feature. Maybe the bulbs will give cool air or something. So no, I met the requirement. We have to close this sprint. If something needs to change, it has to come through intake. I'm not gonna touch it. And it has happened so many times. And the biggest issue I see here, like like jokes aside, issues aside and stuff, the biggest issue I see is like, I really like my products, I really like testing them. I'm not trying to break them, I'm trying to make them better. Like I said, somebody said like, when we're testing, it's not for finding bugs. It's to make sure it does what it's supposed to do. Usability, functionality, it works. And I take it maybe half step further and I'm like, I want to make, it's my baby, I don't want to break it. I want to make it better. And when I see issues like my baby's drowning and people are Facebooking and putting it on Twitter and they're like walking around the issue and they're like, some of the excuses I've heard over the years is, I don't think it's our team's issue. I don't think it's important at this point. Logging this bug will delay the sign-off on the bug, so do it at your own risk. Well, the acceptance criteria is met, so if this is happening, it is out of scope. Things like that. Now, okay, I'll give you a problem statement. So, every bug logged against acceptance criteria is resolved. Tests written for the requirements have passed. Code passed the code review. Requirements have been met to the T. Yet, customers are reporting bugs. The user experience is confusing and not intuitive. The customer data and privacy is at stake. These are only a few things I'm listing here. We're not testing for the whole product. We are only constantly checking to make sure, okay, acceptance criteria 1, 2, 3, 4, have you met that or not? So, I've always talked about this, but last night I found this on James Bach's website Satisfies, so I'm stealing his picture. So he explains about testing is a process of evaluating a product by learning about it through exploration, experimentation, which includes some degree of questioning, study, modeling, observation, and inference. Checking is just checking, pass or fail. And, okay, so I chose this picture because it's old, not because of Superman, but when somebody, okay, I forgot why I chose this picture. Usually I was supposed to pair Superman with a regular man and ask like, what's the difference between a regular man and a Superman? That was Superman. He wears it outside, so that should be the difference. I mean, okay, I'm digressing. Pardon me? Yeah, I don't like the new one. Like for a regular person, when they look at like regular man and Superman, the obvious difference they see is like the briefs. That's how Superman wears it. That's how you recognize Superman, and probably the cape also. But if a person is more involved and explores and questions and studies a little bit more, they will try to understand that he just doesn't wear his briefs outside. He comes from a different planet. He's an alien, but yet he's a very, very nice man up until the latest movies. The latest movies are all bashing and so much destruction. He's not even saved a cat, but the fish. So I'll give you a few, differences between a checker and a tester. A checker will observe the obvious differences, in a Superman costume. Okay, let's talk about software. Say like there's like menus and drop-down lists. The checker will make sure the list shows up with the items listed in the requirement. The tester will explore where this data is stored, and in a database, or if it's hard-coded, or where does this information come from. Okay, and that's how they approach their testing. And authentication, let's talk authentication. A checker will make sure that the registered user is authenticated with valid credentials. A tester will find out where the registered user information is saved and make sure the passwords are salted too. LinkedIn, heard that right? I like LinkedIn, and it was such a huge bummer for me. And the tester will also find out how the user sessions is authenticated and terminated in the browser. That is also important to them. And all of this information is usually never listed in the acceptance criteria or user stories. Checker checks the surface within the boundaries of the requirement. Tester explores the product and understands what it does and how it does it. Checker tries to find where the product is broken. The tester contributes to making the product better. Checker's job ends with the product. The tester's job never ends. The tester feels responsible to support the product through its life. I feel like that. So I feel different. I don't feel like it's done, my sprint is done, it's over. I'm like, I'm still responsible for supporting my product through its life. So I believe there's no one solution for testing anything. I mean, for testing I can talk about it, but when it comes to like test life cycle and stuff, I'm kind of in a limbo. Like, when do I start? Where do I start? How do I please my upper management and still make sure my baby is working fine? So, I mean, you cannot apply the same tests, same techniques for everything. So we are applying the engineering techniques to software. And we have managed to make it successful. So there I end.